Well, it's never too early to talk the college football playoff, and where better to start than Ohio State, currently number one in the AP poll. Beanie and Cardale, I know you think highly of the Buckeyes as they try to repeat. Beanie?
Yeah, repeat is obviously one of the hardest things to do in all of sports. But Ohio State has the best chance, in my opinion, than any team in recent years. When you look at their defense and how they just went out and reloaded, Matt Patricia has led the way and led the charge. You look at the 8 guys that they had to replace on the defensive side of the ball. What did they do? Go out and just play much better than the team that just won a national championship in the previous years. And then we look on the offensive side. Julian Sand, the guy's completing 80% of his passes. Cardale, you know like I know, that has to be hard to do on routes on air, let alone in a major football game. So, I mean, he's doing something incredible. He should be on par to be one of the top quarterbacks in line for maybe the Davey O'Brien Trophy if he keeps his pace up.
You know what, Benny, I don't think I completed 80% of my passes in one practice period, let alone through 5 weeks in the season. You look at Ohio State and the way they're built. Last year, they built their championship team off retaining the talent that they had, guys that was 4th and 5th year guys like JTT and Emeka Buku, who's probably leading the NFL right now and rookie offensive player of the year. And now look at a new formula they're doing now. Look at the style of defense they're playing with right now. Going through 5 games of the season, averaging 5 points on defense is unprecedented and something I haven't seen in my lifetime watching college football. And this is a defense that's built to go on a long run, especially when you talk about a 12-team college football playoffs. And the great thing about it, they have a lot of guys on that roster returning from the national championship team, know what it's like for the long haul.
All right, good stuff there. Of course, Indiana and Oregon both unbeaten, sit inside the top 10. The winner will be in great shape, Damian, for the college football playoff.
Yeah, I think the winner of this game, they only have to gain. But the loser, they're by no means out of the college football playoff. If anything, this is going to probably be an impressive loss depending on who loses the game. As long as it's close, as long as it's competitive, the winner is clearly in the driving seat for the Big Ten, getting to the Big Ten championship and obviously getting into the college football playoff. But the loser, they don't take a big hit right now, especially if you're Indiana. You're going to be on the road. You're playing against Dante Moore and a really, really good Oregon football team. And I can turn around and say the same thing. If Oregon loses this football game, well, guess what? You're playing against one of the best quarterbacks in college football in Fernando Mendoza, against one of the best college football coaches in Curt Cignetti. All around, this is going to be a great game, and it could be a game where we see both of these teams still in the college football playoffs. 3:30 Eastern Saturday, CBS. Meantime, the ACC has a team dominating right now. Of course, that'd be Miami, which is 5-0 with a trio of ranked wins. Are they coasting at this point to a playoff spot, Beanie?
Most certainly not. You know, when you talk about Mario Cristobal, one thing that he is a tough, hard-nosed football coach. There is no way he's going to let his team coach the rest of the way. You look at their schedule. They got Louisville, which is a solid football team. They got Syracuse on their schedule, which has played spoiler this season to Clemson, one of the teams already in the ACC. So there's no way Mario Cristobal is going to let this team slip. You look at Carson Beck, the way that he's playing phenomenal. He's playing like the Carson Beck we thought we see in 2024. That was that projected #1 overall pick. Miami went out and topped what they did last year by getting a defense that plays exciting, relentless. Ruben Bain Jr. off the ball is a deep offensive lineman's nightmare. Akeem Mesidor. I mean, what those guys present, they're scary. And I love this Miami team. The U, dare I say it, is back.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll say don't you dare, because they're not back just quite yet. I mean, once I see one of these, then we can talk about if the U is back. But I love what you're saying about you cannot coast right now, because guess what happened to Miami last year when they had Cam Moore, the #1 pick and the #1 offense in the country? Guess what? They relaxed, and guess what that did? It kept them out of the college football playoff, and they had absolutely nothing to show. So, my man Beanie, you're absolutely correct. Mario Cristobal has got to keep his foot on the gas, and he has to make sure his players play with the same fire, passion, and energy that they just played with in Doak Campbell Stadium. That has to be the new standard of how Miami plays football every single week, because we've seen it from Mario Cristobal and Miami themselves. We're not talking about seeing it from somebody else. We've seen it from them. When they relax, they're easily beatable.
Over in the Big 12, there's Texas Tech, currently the highest-ranked team in the league, and has the advantage for a playoff bid. What do you make of the Red Raiders' CFP chances, Cardale?
Well, clearly they was paying the right guys the way this team is playing right now, led by Bear Morton right here as he get it done in the air and on the ground as well. This team is exciting. This team is stingy on defense, and they protect the football on offense. This team is hungry, gritty, playing against in a conference in the Big 12 right now. You got some great teams out there, Iowa State, BYU, Arizona State is always going to be competitive. But right now, Texas Tech got to be the ones leading that charge in the Big 12.
No K-State this year, right?
Unfortunately not. I almost forgot about the Bearcats as well. The Bearcats just had an impressive win last week at home in front of that crowd versus a really good Iowa State team.
Brendan Sorsby the last couple of weeks.
Sorsby, yeah, a name to remember.
Over in the SEC, Alabama and Missouri certainly in the playoff mix and face off this weekend. So, Damian, which team needs this one more in your mind?
Would I say anybody other than Alabama? Would I? And listen, everything that I have said about Alabama getting better and better each week, that is true. What I said about us not seeing the best of Alabama yet, that is still true. But the pressure that is on Kalen DeBoer about not making the college football playoff last year. I know we just beat Vanderbilt, but guess what? The fans still have not forgotten that loss last year. The fans still have not forgotten the FSU loss in week 1. But most importantly, Alabama fans just want to see Alabama football on the field. They don't want to see Alabama just go out and win. They want to see a joyless style of football that their opponent cannot and will not match. So I tell you this confidently, if Alabama slips up, loses this game, loses another game, and do not make it to the college football playoff, we've already heard a woman sit and talk about what she would do if she won the lottery. She's going straight down to Tuscaloosa and buying out Kalen DeBoer. There is still a ton of pressure on this Alabama football team to keep delivering the way that they have been in the past couple weeks.
Okay, how about some other SEC unbeatens and their potential path the rest of the way? Beanie, your thoughts on Ole Miss?
I love Ole Miss. I think this has to be one of the best stories in college football. You lose your starting quarterback at the start of the season. What do? You have a backup come in and play way better than the original starter. And then we talk about Trinidad Chambliss. He didn't have any Division I offers out of high school. A Division II all-conference player goes to Ole Miss and looks phenomenal. Lane Kiffin, in my opinion, is the quarterback whisperer. And when you look at their schedule the rest of the way, I believe they can get past the Georgia and Oklahoma if they continue playing the style of offense which we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Cardale, what about Texas A&M?
Oh, one of my favorite teams, led by a young guy, Marcel Reed. And then you look on the outside with guys like Casey Concepcion, and then in that backfield, Le'Veon Moss. This is a team that can potentially run the table. Now, you get through a tough Florida who's playing some great defense, who's coming off an emotional win in the Swamp last week versus the Longhorns. But outside of that, I think you can build some momentum to make a deep run in the SEC.
What about Oklahoma, Damian?
Ooh, well, we got to wait and see about the return of John Mateer. But without or with him, this Brent Venables coach defense is going to present problems for Texas, for South Carolina, for Ole Miss, and even for my Alabama Crimson Tide. This is a defensive-led team. They're one of the best teams in the country. If they continue playing the style of defense that they do, and they just get half of John Mateer back, they can easily win all of these games except for the one on November 15th against the University of Alabama.
Imagine that, on the road in Tuscaloosa. Finally, Texas and Penn State both fell out of the AP Top 25 after opening the season as the top two teams, with each having 2 losses. Are they still in CFP contention, Damian?
Texas, I got to say no. One, because of the struggles we've seen of Arch Manning, and we haven't seen anything yet to lead us to believe that he's going to come out of those struggles anytime soon. And when you hang your hat on the defense the way that Texas has, and they let you down against a Florida offense that has not been competent all year, that should scare you. And they still have some tough opponents left. They've got Oklahoma and Red River. They've got Georgia. They've got Vanderbilt, who's got Diego Pavia, and who is going to be looking to continue to emerge himself after the loss against Alabama. I think Texas is in a lot of trouble.
When I think about Penn State, it's going to be tough. Obviously, when you look at their schedule, knowing that they have Iowa, knowing that they have Ohio State, Indiana, it's going to be a tall task for them to get to the college football playoff and beat these teams. But if they're able to do it, it's going to be due in part to Drew Aller finding some resemblance of the star player that we all thought he would be at the beginning of the year. And Dakota Nicky has to find a way to put him in position to push the ball downfield, utilize some of these receivers that you went out and got in the transfer portal. Trevor Panay, he was a beast last year at Syracuse. Get him the football. I think they have the talent to be able to do it, but it's going to be on the coaching staff to put this team in the right position on both sides of the ball.
Penn State going to be in a position like Tennessee was last year. Win out the winnable games, and a lot of things need to happen outside of your control to make a legitimate push for the college football playoff. Texas, on the other hand, they have a very uphill battle in the SEC gauntlet of a schedule they have remaining. 4 ranked teams already at this point who's playing really good. So Penn State, more realistically, can get to the college football playoffs. Texas, I would say the expectation for me personally is try to be around that 500 mark this year.
Never too early to have a college football playoff preview in early October, of course, for all these contending teams. Plenty of time to continue to build their resumes.